Hey guys, welcome to the Jupiter Dawn podcast. This is our very first episode. This podcast is presented by the Virgin Hammer Creatives and we're shot here at Callisto Studios. I'm joined today with our first podcast guest and our first signee, Rachel D. How's it going, Rachel? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we're in the heart of the exchange right now, and we're just kind of at the tail end of finishing up your upcoming album, actually. And I thought we'd sit you down for a couple of minutes here and kind of talk about the process and talk about how you feel about the album coming up. So, my first question is, I guess, who are you and what is it that you do?
I'm Rachel D, and I play guitar and sing and write music. I also do art.
Oh, yes, that's right. She's a painter for anybody that doesn't know. Really good paintings, actually. We were actually thinking like using one of your paintings like to see if we can use it for an upcoming album cover or something like that. Because I really like it. The abstract thing, I'm not too experienced at that kind of stuff. But like, if it can evoke something from me, I think that's kind of a good thing, right? So, so how long have you been doing music?
Like writing or singing or...
Yeah, I guess. Like, I mean, this is kind of like the beginning of you starting, I guess. I don't want to use the word professionally. Let's just say officially, right? But I guess before that, like for as long as you can remember, how long have you been doing it?
I'd say around 16 when I learned how to play guitar and started making music and writing lyrics. And the reason I decided to play guitar was so I could put my lyrics to music. So I've been... doing that for a while now.
And is this like before this release? Have you kind of done other things like shows and things like that before? Or
I used to do a coffee house show. I think I did it for about 3 years. It was the Kaleidoscope magazine launch with CMHA.
Okay, CMHA. Oh, nice, nice.
Oh, I've also done open mics too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, where would you do open mics actually? Like
Happy Mike's Coffee House.
Where's that? Okay, because I go to coffee houses all the time. So like, where's Happy Mike's?
I think it's off Portage.
Oh, really? Okay.
I can't remember. It's been so long.
The last one I was at was like Joe Black. Like that's like one of my favorite places to see open mics there. So, but shout out to Happy Mike's because that's kind of, I guess that's where you kind of got to cultivate kind of like performing live. Are you pretty comfortable performing live? Would you say or?
I get stage fright, but I push through it, and it usually turns out better than expected.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I'll tell you right now, it's something that gets better with time because I was, before I started really, I was DJing and all that stuff. I was like I told you before, I was like really shy and stuff like that. I found it really hard to be in front of a crowd and really hard to speak, right? So that's why I just DJ'd instead. But recently this year, I had to. I mean, even with the podcast, even before that, I had to really learn how to conquer stage fright. The way I did it was like just being so busy and stressed that like I couldn't be nervous anymore. So that's kind of a thing. I'm not saying you have to go that route, but that's the way I was able to conquer it. So but as you do it more, it just gets natural. My next question is, can you name a few inspirations behind your music? That can be like, either just actual life events that have inspired you or actual other mentors or artists that kind of like contribute to the music that you make.
I'd say for artists, Lisa Hannigan, The Swell Season, Kate Nash really influenced my writing and my voice. And yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry if I am uninformed on those artists. Are those kind of like more also kind of indie folk singers like yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's definitely what I was going for when I was 19. I would say I was really influenced by their vibe.
Okay. Oh, well, speaking of the vibe, actually, let's talk about like kind of the actual songwriting process. I've only recently, I've probably, I think, heard 4 or 5 songs of yours. And I was noticing a bit of central theming behind a lot of them, but I kind of want to hear from the source, like kind of behind. Well, I guess my first question in terms of the album writing process is, first of all, what's the name of the album?
Fragile Signs.
Fragile Signs. And what would you say is kind of like central, kind of the glue behind all the tracks?
I'd say showing vulnerability
For sure.
and struggle with relationships, and I'd say like persevering as well, and also being kind of in a hurt, vulnerable place and writing songs from that place was something I did.
Oh man, that really resonates with us here at Bridge and Hammer, because one of the things we stand for the most is resilience, right? So I think previous episode with me and Earl, like all of us kind of, I mean, we didn't all tell our sob stories, but like what all landed us all in the same place is just something where we had to kind of just deal with what we needed to deal with to have us arrive at the point where we all kind of like diverged like here. So so what does the songwriting process kind of like look like for you?
It happens pretty quick. I'll just kind of almost like hear like a hook in my brain.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then the lyrics will come too, and then I'll have the guitar out, and then I'll just kind of write everything that I'll just start playing and singing. Then I'll write everything out, and then I'll do a voice memo of it.
Oh, okay.
To remember.
So does so the vocals come first and then the guitar, or does it ever work the other way around?
Kind of like the tune in my head comes first, and then the lyrics, and then tune and guitar. It's all just kind of a mix.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. I'm the same way when it comes to song production. When it comes to, well, I mean, I don't really do the lyrics first, but then usually one element comes out first, and I kind of build around that sort of thing. There was this one, I'm kind of want to pick a song and kind of like deconstruct it. And forgive me if I don't remember the name. I was just listening to the master, and I think it was with Earl yesterday. But there was this one part in the chorus where you're talking about, you're always getting good grades and always. Which song was that?
Atonement.
Atonement, right? Okay, so can we kind of because that one I think stuck with me the most.
Yeah. Because
that really put me in a. I'm kind of young again. Kind of like this is what I'm kind of dealing. This is what I'm kind of showing up to deal with, sort of mood, I suppose. But I remember those lyrics like really resounding with me. Can we kind of explain what that song is about and how you came up with it?
It came from it was a dark place in my life where I was around toxic people, and I got out of there, and I didn't do the greatest things when I was in that place. And then now it's kind of like I go to school, I get good grades, I obey the law, I forgot your face, and it's kind of like a screw you to that person.
Okay, then that's fair. That's fair. I've been in that place where I created an entire EP as I'm done with person A and I need to move on, sort of thing, right? So that was kind of like, hey, like I'm kind of done with this toxicity and I want to clean up, and this is my kind of like would you say you were kind of trying to clean up in spite of that person, or just for yourself?
I guess it is kind of spiteful, being like, look at me now. But I also feel like I got out of a really tough place, and I'm lucky to be here. So
right, it's always powerful when you can express yourself in a way that reclaims back some of the control and power you lost when you're in those sort of relationships, which I think is why that song spoke to me specifically. I guess another question, actually, before we move on to the next question, how long did that song take to brew up, or was that something you were kind of sitting on for a while?
That one was pretty quick.
Yeah.
It kind of just came out of nowhere. I haven't written about that part of my life before.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it was just time to show. I don't know.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I guess. And when you give something like that, that's kind of been dwelling in you, a material form, it can be kind of a form of release, right? So, now I'm going to move on to the next question. But what would you say is, off of the EP, your favorite song?
Fragile Signs.
Fragile Signs. Okay. Okay. So let's go talk like moving forward. The release is coming up. What are the kind of like the future plan? Is there any future plans or shows coming up?
I'm in an art beat residency program.
Right.
And they're having a showcase on December 16th that I'll be playing at.
Oh, right on. And you'll be performing the album. Yes?
Yeah.
And
songs.
where is where's the showcase going to be?
It's on Albert Street. I don't know the exact address.
Okay, well, for sure, like, when we figure that out, we'll have all the links and everything up for everybody to check out. So December 16th, everybody out there listening, catch Rachel for Artbeat, debuting the album live. It might be the first time for you guys listening if you catch this podcast a little late. So are there any artists off the top of your head? First I'll say local, and then second I'll say like in general, like that you want to work with.
In general, Tom Odell and Keaton Henson.
Okay.
I just feel like it'd be cool to do like an indie acoustic project.
Okay, I mean, that sounds like we've had those kind of showcases here, like kind of very unplugged kind of thing. And that's kind of the perfect vibe for us here at Bridge and Hammer, actually. So, and that also reminds me, I got to do my homework on, because I'm not too familiar with a lot of the artist name, but now I'm kind of curious. Like
those two aren't local though.
Yeah, and actually, I kind of figured because you went for general first.
Yeah.
The local scene for somebody kind of reaching in, like it's not that it's not accessible. You just need to know where to look. Are you familiar with a lot of like local indie acoustic or?
No.
That's totally fair. Totally fair. Like the Winnipeg scene is still growing, even in my respective genres. I still find like new faces and guys who are like popping up all the time, and I'm like, should I know these guys? Do I know these guys? Sort of thing. So
well, there's my friend's brother, Kyle. He does gigs, and I wouldn't mind singing with him.
Is there anywhere you can recommend? Like, have you gone around and seen a lot of like people performing like kind of in your genre in the city, or?
I don't really go out.
That's okay. Also fair. Also fair. But I mean, people have a reason to go out on December 16th at least. So yeah, we'll give them that. And finally, I guess I can kind of ask you, kind of plug us a little bit. How did you find the recording process, actually putting it together and putting it on, making it digital and stuff over here in Bridge and Hammer?
I felt very comfortable. I felt like I was in good hands, and it was enjoyable. Like I came in really nervous, and then the longer I was there, it just kind of dissipated. Is
this kind of the first time you were kind of like recording in a full studio set, like with a full studio sort of thing, or?
I recorded a demo at a studio 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess the reason I ask is like, if it's kind of like stepping into the booth for like the first time, or maybe the first time in a while.
This time was different, for sure.
Last question here before we kind of wrap things up here. Are there any particular things you'd like to try with your music in the future?
I'd like to explore more themes and different voice sounds, I guess.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. Ever interested in trying other instruments? A little more kind of more full-bodied production, like in the future. Okay, cool. Not gonna lie, when I was listening in on the tracks, I was like, oh, I could put some keys in there. I can lay some keys in there real easy. But we're here to give the artist their shine and not kind of like insert ourselves into there. So I resisted temptation that way. But yeah, I guess before we wrap up, I guess I should ask, like, where can people find you online before they go after your album? Because that's going to be released, like, probably around the time of the release of this podcast. So where can people find you?
I have an Instagram at Rachel D Artist, D spelled D-E-E. And then I have a Linktree with TikTok and SoundCloud.
Cool. And then of course, like, by the time this is out, you'll be able to find the rest of her music on Spotify and all streaming services. So yeah, everyone keep an eye out for Fragile Signs coming to you real soon, or it'll actually be in your hands by the time this podcast comes out. Any final thoughts before we wrap up, or?
I just want to say that, like, this album's very personal, and I just want, my wish is to have it be heard and have people feel less alone.
I love that. I really resonate with that too. And I'll probably be listening to it for that very reason as well. All right, Rachel, well, thanks again for coming down to the studio, spending some time with us, and all the best for your album release and for your future endeavors.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Coffee maker in the kitchen. Then in a bit I'll drink a cup and think of all those times that I gave in.